UpandDownSports.com. My name is Jon Jansen. You're tuned into the NBA DFS Preview show. And this is a guy you're going to see double. You're going to see him twice today, which is great. He's always smiling. And I know when I listen to it, when I'm posting the PGA live stream and I'm listening to Sinajad and Draft Master Flex Joel, who is joining us, it's always a great time. And he's look at the smile. See, I'm even going to look at that. Always happy, always excited. And it's going to be a really good time here. First of all, man, good to be talking to you. Good to have you on the NBA preview show. Yeah,
I'm excited to be on tonight. I've, NBA's been fun this season, stressful, as we all know with the injuries.
It is.
We had a good laugh about last night, but listen, I think tonight will be a little easier on us. There's still going to be some things that we're going to want to keep our eye on, right? We want to make sure that none of us get. I think the worst feeling in DFS is playing somebody injured or not knowing about the value. So we're going to avoid that. But for the most part, I think we have a good slate tonight. We can make some money.
Yeah, 6-game slate. So it'll definitely be a little focused for sure. So we'll just hop right into it. Let's do it. Let's get into the slate here. See, look at all those games. Obviously, you also see at the top, Luka questionable, James Harden, he's still out, Jason Tatum's out, Sabonis is out, Porzingis questionable. So that's a game, looks like in Dallas, that we're going to have to check out. But Boston, Oklahoma City. Now, usually, I feel like Oklahoma City, and especially now with Tatum and Walker out, I feel like this is a game now that could be a target for a lot of value on the slate. Just with all the top players that are out, and usually Oklahoma City, pretty good to go down for some value and find those guys.
Yeah, and I'll try, as we go through this, I'll try and highlight my plays that I like more for cash versus tournaments.
For sure, yeah.
Just so everyone knows, I'm a tournament player. So I'm looking at this from a tournament perspective for the most part, but I'm going to try and kind of give you both angles for everyone.
Yeah, that's great.
So to start in this game, we'll start with the Thunder, right? The Thunder don't have a premier player at all. No one on their roster. Maybe Dort is probably the only guy that really deserves to start on an NBA team. So if you want to talk about value, I mean, the pricing is fair, right? Nobody's price is too high. Baisley's okay. I like him as well, but I think here, especially in GPPs, this is where I'm getting most of my value. I think you'll find a lot of people will like some of the Dallas guys tonight, but I think it's just a little risky because we don't know who's in and who's out. So If you want to gamble, that's what that is, and just hoping that it falls your way. But based on the knowledge we have, here's a good place to start. And I'll start with Dort. I like Dort a lot. I mean, he's clearly the best player on a team that is going to need to get production from somebody. And he's been, when he has played recently, he's been great, right? So if you want to go, let's take a quick look at his 10-game log.
There we go.
So if you look at the games that he's actually played in recently, right? We got 31 points, 41, 44, 65. I mean, that's going to surpass his value at 6,400. So
and look at the minutes too. The minutes are certainly, that's like 37 minutes, 32. That he's getting over 30 minutes now is actually, that's very good because he wasn't consistently getting that. But now the last 4 games, you're seeing over 30 minutes. That means something, right? That has to.
They got no one else to go to, right? So
yeah,
he has
exactly.
He's kind of got to carry them. Don't underestimate the fact that it's a shorthanded Boston team, right? So you're going to have some backups playing heavy minutes guarding him. He won't have the best defense. And if Jaylen Brown's got to carry the load on offense and Marcus Smart's got to do more on offense, they probably won't be as tip-top a defensive shape as they normally are. So I like Dort there for that reason. I'll admit I'm a little biased. So the reason I like this guy,
like that though. I like bias.
I just like him. I think especially for a GPP play, and I'm gonna definitely butcher his name. Pokezki.
We call him just Poku here.
Okay,
calls him Poku.
But listen, he's one of those guys that, especially if you're playing FanDuel, that can really in a GPP score really high because he can get you 3 blocks and 3 steals, which is an insane amount of points. And then if he just gives you like a 15 and 8 type night, which he's going to start tonight, and like when he's getting minutes, he's starting, he should get you 30. So with him getting 30 minutes, like if you look at the Toronto game, he put up 36 points. That's a really solid line at the price we're getting him tonight. I mean, 5,100. There's not all that much value on the slate. Did I freeze for a second? You guys still with me?
No, you're good.
Yeah, not that much value on. not that much value on this slate. I like him. I like him definitely as an upside play. Again, this is not a cash play, but for an upside play, I'm definitely going to be having some exposure to him as well.
What is this, Sinajad? People still play FanDuel? Of course people still play FanDuel. They play everywhere. Sinajad talking some trash over here. But yeah, I figure this is usually where we look for some play. And knowing the fact, usually what will keep somebody like Ghost and probably a lot of people off of a game in Oklahoma City is because they're going to get blown out. But as you said, it's not a full strength Boston team. They are going to have Jaylen Brown. They are going to have Marcus Smart. But this isn't going to be blowout city. This should be a close game, and I expect there are going to be some points in Oklahoma City definitely involved in that. Milwaukee and Charlotte, Hayward, LaMelo Ball out for Charlotte. But I think anywhere here, I mean, there really isn't, as we could see for Charlotte, PG Washington's all right, but there's really not really anybody that can cover Giannis. Is this maybe a Giannis game? As we look for some of the top players, he's probably going to be the top price guy. But out of the guys that are 10K, is this maybe a Giannis day?
So I think you're right. They don't have a great matchup for Giannis. So this looks like a Gatorade feast. However, listen, in a cash play, I think he makes a ton of sense because his floor is really high, right? He's gonna get you, I would say, 50 at worst, right? So I think you're gonna be happy with that. The problem with Giannis in a tournament is 50 points out of him probably doesn't do it. In a roster construction. So in a GPP, I don't love it. I just think that the price is a little high. And he hasn't been, they haven't been playing him more than 30 minutes, really. I mean, his minute low, 35 last night. Yeah, he's getting to 35, but you can see he's got a few under 30. Yeah. And this game could turn into a blowout. So if he gets under 30 minutes and, he barely scrapes a 48 or 53, he's not reaching value. So for me, especially in a GPP, I'll probably be passing on Giannis tonight. But if you want to play him in a cash game, he's pretty safe for a high floor.
Now, is there already one of the Charlotte side of things here that we can go after with Hayward and LaMelo Ball still out, Malik Monk out? Anybody here, is this kind of a tough matchup for Charlotte to like kind of anyone here? I think that's kind of how I look at it. Kind of a tough matchup, even with some of the injuries. Not really anybody that sticks out to me here.
I would agree. I mean, if you want to play Terry because of usage, right? They don't have Hayward, they don't have Ball. He's going to get his shots. The big difference is, Giannis has a better matchup, but Giannis costs a lot of money, right? And Terry here at a guy that could be, could also get you 50 points at this price, right? Then it's a good value. So I wouldn't mind playing. I also actually like Graham here. I think they're going to need to get offense from somewhere. And you'll notice, the Bucks have a lot of those big, long defenders who will probably eat up, your Washington, maybe Bridges. So it should maybe open up the offense a little bit for the guard. So if we're going to think of it that way, Graham actually might be the play at the lowest salary point and probably getting the best defensive situation. I think those two guys would be the guys I'd be interested in from the show.
If you want to look at his last game against Milwaukee, there you go. He had 32 fantasy points. 6,800 he was priced at then, but that was his last game against. It was almost a month ago at this point now, so maybe expected a little bit more minutes out of Devontae Graham, but yeah, he could definitely be an option. All right, moving on now to our next game, Indiana and Portland. And with the Pacers, it always has been now just kind of a little bit of, well, you're just trying to find value outside of Sabonis and Turner now. Brogdon's sort of been the answer to that. I know Ghost has gone to him a little bit here, but is this a matchup to do it against Portland?
I think so. Brogdon's been great, and especially with his locked-in usage, right, without Sabonis. The only other guy that they're really going to go to on offense is LeVert, who I'm also okay with playing tonight. I would even say Brogdon's more of my cash play just because his floor is so high. He's going to get the shots. He's going to get the ball in his hands. And then if you want to get different in a GPP and maybe look at the LeVert side from this team, totally okay with that too. And this is another team, because there's so many guys out, Turner, Sabonis, we can probably find some value on the lower end. So one value play that I might be intrigued in here is we've seen him pop a lot, right, is TJ McConnell, right? He has those games where I think he had a game earlier this year with 10 steals, right? So if you think his minutes will be solidified because they're missing guys, he could be a good way to get different.
Yeah, TJ McConnell, if you look here at last 10 games, I mean, whoa, look at that one. Nice little 40-pointer. Don't know if we're expecting that from him tonight. But yeah, certainly TJ McConnell has been one that has kind of gone off a little bit here. All right, Brooklyn, Toronto. Now, obviously, we still know James Harden is not playing. Kevin Durant's back in. I mean, is he getting basic? It's just, is he getting enough minutes? And, some games, yes, some games, no. That's kind of what it comes down to with him, right? Like he finally came back 28 minutes, which is, I think, a little bit more than maybe some expected. But is it enough against a Toronto team that they could maybe end up blowing out to put him in, or is it still a no?
So, matchup wise, Durant's matchup proof, right? Like he can go off on anybody. So I think you're 100% right. It's just a matter of, will the minutes be there? Will the game be good enough where it's worth rostering him? Right now, I'm leaning probably on the outside of that. And to be honest with you, on DraftKings, he probably makes more sense than he does FanDuel because of his price.
Okay.
And FanDuel, he's priced up a little higher.
I imagine the usage isn't going to be up there either, just because people will kind of hesitate on just, his playing rate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's still Kevin Durant, and he's going to shoot the damn ball whenever he feels like shooting the ball. So, and
he will.
The biggest issue with him, probably from a GPP standpoint or a tournament standpoint, is on DraftKings, he's probably really highly owned at this price. I mean, especially when he put up the 53 points last game. 8.3 is just too low for him. He's too good to be under $9,000. So it seems like it'll be a higher ownership play, but I wouldn't be as worried about the minutes. It looks like they're comfortable with playing him at least close to 30. So at 8.3, I think he's a really good play.
Now, anything here on Toronto's side? It seems like now they've gotten a little bit healthier. It has been a lot of games with Van Fleet and Lowry out, or Siakam and Lowry. It's been, these three guys kind of between games here and there. But now with the top three pretty much healthy, you kind of even lose value, even with Boucher out, Trent Jr., Paul Watson. Any value that you would have liked about Toronto seems like it's pretty much all gone at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, now that they seem to be, at least the guards are pretty healthy. The usage will be pretty split up. I like the price on Lowry tonight. I think they came down a little low. So if you want to play Lowry, I think I'm okay with him. The value tonight from Toronto is going to be, I think, Kim Birch. So Kim Birch, it just seems like he's going to be locked into minutes because I don't know who else is going to play center. I mean, Gillespie, yes, but he's not really much of a threat. So if you're going to get him, if you can get a locked in 30 minutes from Kim Birch, he can rebound. And Brooklyn's not a great team against center, so he should be able to feast on the boards. If he gets you 2 blocks, which he's been doing, and a couple steals, then that can really be a balloon-type GPP play. I like him for cash, too, because he seems to be, with that 30 minutes, he'll be pretty safe with rebounds and things like that. So I like Ken Birch a lot as a value play at center tonight.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good play. Like you said, Brooklyn's kind of the matchup here if you have a good center to maybe use. And look at the usage, 29 minutes, 33, 24, 29, 26. He's getting close to 30 minutes. And, look at those fantasy points, especially at a salary range of 4,700. Not bad, I would say. That's a really good call. Minnesota and Houston here. I was about to say, why is James Harden still up there? I had the Brooklyn game. I was confused for a second. I'm like, whoa. But obviously, the first thing anybody looks at when it comes to Minnesota is Karl Anthony Towns. But we're seeing a few outs here, a few O's here on the Houston side. Anything in this game? I think Towns is probably a stay away too in this one. I'm imagining.
So no, I'm gonna go with Towns. So
nice.
Only as a GPP. I don't love him in cash because of his price. But the thought is, this is, I think, the highest total on the slate. So, and there's not a whole lot of talented basketball players on the court tonight, right? And I'm not too worried about, Kelly Olynyk or Christian Wood on defense. So he should get his, right? We're going to look at a high-scoring game and you can get the best player on the floor. Sure, right? I think that's a good recipe, especially in a big tournament. He does, like you saw, he does have that 66-point upside where he has those big games. I think if you're just looking at his box score and his price, this doesn't make sense. A lot of 40s, high 30s at his price, that doesn't add up. I'm looking at this as we're looking to get a ceiling game, getting close to the high 50s or 60s out of him, out of a team with a game with a high total, a fast pace, and he's the best player on the floor. I think he could surprise today.
Anything else in this game? I mean, with especially maybe the Houston side, are we looking at anything here with Houston, or is
there's
not really
definitely value to be had in this game? So I think I'm going to be targeting this game a lot. I think there's a lot of different plays here that we can look at. If you want to start on the Houston side, I think the first two guys that come, the rest pretty much the whole Houston starting lineup is going to be in play tonight, right? So from Wood, who's I think a little bit underpriced tonight for a guy who's going to be eating up usage on that team. He'll be able to shoot as much as he wants. And at 8K, I think he's pretty safe to get you at least, I would say 40 is probably going to be close to his floor tonight. So I'm not worried about anyone on defense, who's going to be able to consider it to stop him. He should be able to feast. So he's he's a really strong play tonight on both GPPs and cash. And going right back to his running mate right next to him in Kelly Olynyk, he has been awesome since coming over to Houston, right? His usage has gone up because, they don't really have anyone else. And if you look at it, he's consistently getting over about 34, 33 minutes. In the last 2 games, he's over 45 points at 6,600. I mean, you can't beat that. And if he's near that level of consistency tonight, that's just a no-brainer play. His ownership will probably be pretty high, so that's what you gotta swallow that pill with him. I really like going back, which the ownership I think I haven't seen that high yet. I like going back to the Porter well too. If you remember when the injuries started stacking up for Houston earlier in the year, he was going off. He was having 50-point games. We haven't seen that consistently, but they're there. You got 42 against the Clippers. You got that 51 against Phoenix. These games are there from him, and it's not, it's on and off. But tonight, he should be the primary ball handler for the most part. Wall's not playing. Gordon's not there. They don't have too many other guys handling the ball. So with the ball in his hands a lot in the highest paced game of the night, I think he'll probably make a lot of sense.
You said there was some value in this game a lot. Is there value on the Minnesota side? Are we maybe looking at D'Angelo Russell here? 53 points in his last game, and we know Houston's going to be down a couple of guards. Is there any value kind of there as well?
Yeah, I think D'Angelo Russell is a great call. The other way to think of that is Houston's down a couple guards, and I kind of like that Russell's coming off the bench because who the heck on Houston's bench is going to guard him, right? The second unit is going to be out there. Some guy we've never heard of is going to be chasing him around. And you know how when Russell heats up and he starts cooking, he's not shy about launching. So if they have some scrub who we've never heard of covering him and he's out there burying threes, then sure, sign me up, leave him in the game and let him go nuts. So I like him a lot, especially, 6,300 for a guy who, he was hurt all year. So obviously he's not an all-star this year, but for a guy who's been an all-star and is not going to have too tough of a defensive matchup, I think that can be a really nice, especially GPP play. All
right. Now going to the final game here, Dallas and Golden State. Now, I think the thing that's really hard about this game is the fact that Luka Doncic questionable, also Kristaps Porzingis questionable. So that makes things a little bit harder here, doesn't it?
This game is going to give us a headache. So the issue here is we don't know who's playing. I think what I'm leaning on tonight is the fact that I just don't love the guys that are value plays on Dallas. So even if, a lot of guys are out and they seem to be obvious, they're not my favorite value plays. So I'm probably just going to shy away and try and avoid the risk as much as I can. The one guy that I do like on Dallas that, if the pieces fall, I would like to get in is Trey Burke. I'm probably a little biased. I just like Trey Burke. I see everyone's flocking to Tim Hardaway Jr. at the ownership that it looks like he's going to be getting tonight. His price is right, but the ownership looks like it's going to be close to 50%. He's just not consistent enough for me to want to play him at 50% ownership. So if my pivot off him will be I like Brunson and I like Burke. And if you want to go with those two guards, I think especially if they miss 3 or 4 guys, they get the minutes. I think they can produce.
So Ghost's famous thing is if it's a day ending in Y, he's playing Steph Curry. Is this one of the top guys that we're playing? I know you said Karl Anthony Towns is one of them for sure, maybe in this one. Also, Giannis, you mentioned. Out of all the top guys, I guess, because that's where we always like to start, top guys, and then we kind of work our way around, what the top guys are in our lineup. Is Steph Curry in the 10K range somebody that you're looking at, or, Dallas and their pace kind of not something you want to attack here with Curry?
I'm not someone that I don't think it's very profitable to be someone that fades Steph Curry. Right. So on any given night, this guy can just make 10 threes and just, I'm not going to say you shouldn't play Steph Curry. It's just a matter of he's 10.3 and he's the best shooter we've ever seen. So if you want to spend your top salary on him, which is no problem, I have no problem with it. I'm middle of the road on him right now. I don't think this is his best matchup that you have to play him, but there's never a night where I would say you don't play Steph Curry.
That is, you know what? Pretty sound advice, I'd say, to start Steph Curry. Yeah. So, I mean, is this how are we approaching this on the strategy side? I know usually we like going either stars and scrubs or going value. Where are we attacking a certain game? Just, looking at this 6-game slate, where are kind of the first things you were doing to attack this one?
So the way when building my rosters is today, I'm looking at there's not a huge difference in each games in terms of pace and over under. They're all pretty comparable, within a few points. So I'm not going to try and overpound a certain game. I think we can be pretty balanced. And I'm kind of taking the same mentality. I'm taking the same mentality for my roster construction. I think today more than ever, the best approach is to be a little bit more balanced. If we can avoid going too low tonight and just kind of fill out our roster with guys in the 8K to 7K range, I think that will be the way. That's my approach this week.
A D'Angelo Russell type play.
Exactly.
You're trying to get. Okay.
Yep. And there's plenty
right. It's not like Washington's on the slate here, and you could pick on a game with pace and maybe some value. It doesn't seem like here it's that many that kind of value on the slate.
Yeah, and like look, the guys that we mentioned, just on the screen you're on right now is perfect, right? Like there's plenty of value in playing Olynyk, in playing Porter. I'm okay with playing Jayshawn Tate. Right? You can fill out a roster of all these guys who all have that 40 to 45 point upside. And so that's where I think I want to live tonight. I want to avoid any guys who aren't going to get me more than 30 points. All right. If that's not an option, then I don't want them on my team. So I think we can fill out a roster of guys. You can probably get one elite player, maybe one, and then try and balance out the rest of the squad.
Like it. Let's go through a little bit of lineups here. NBA DFS Preview Show, WayneDailySports.com. My name is Jon Jansen, joined by Joel. Look at that face. I love a smiling face. It's great. At DraftMaster Flex. You can also hear him tonight. PJ live stream, right? 8 o'clock that you'll be on with Sina Jad.
That's right, 8 o'clock. Yep.
Is Sticks Picks going to be on there? Is he going to be on there as well?
I think it's going to be me and Sia tonight.
Just, it was really easy to brand your guys' show last week because it was the pairings in the Zurich Classic. So it was just the pair of you two, and I'm like the team that you're going to want to bet on the most. It was so easy to brand that Zurich Classic show with you guys. But let's go through some lineups. We got from Glide here, D'Lo, Fournier, Jaylen Brown, KD, WCS, Sumner, Giannis, Armani Brooks. Hopefully you know who WCS and all this is because I feel like the chat and Go speaking a different language that I don't speak. So I just got to make sure you can translate better than I can.
So wait, just to be sure, are we just picking a small forward right now?
No, this is just looking at a lineup. If anything looks better, is there a player in this lineup that you see that maybe you want to switch out for, maybe think twice about, something like that?
All right, so we're building this lineup now. I think we're going to have trouble balancing out the roster with both Curry and Towns. So we'll have to pick one, right? I think we'll make our choice. For the purpose of tonight, I would say let's stick with Towns. Let's pull out Curry.
Let's do that.
All right. So now I think we already talked about Dort. I think we like him. They don't really have anyone else to go to. So let's plug him in. He can play point guard for us. And that's going to leave us about 5,300, 5,400 per spot, which that should be fine.
That's plenty. Now, is this kind of, I think Dorton Russell is the one I feel like that you're going with most here, or at least that you feel comfortable with. Is that kind of the core here or foundation is Towns and getting Dorton Russell in that 6K range that you seem to be liking here? I like that a lot. I think, like I said, I'm playing GPP. So from a GPP perspective, Towns is going to be low owned. So that's why I like him because, not a lot of people are going to be going after him. And if you can get, a guy that's one of the best players in the NBA and not a lot of other people playing him, it could be a big difference maker in a big pool. So that's why I like Towns. If you're playing cash, I don't like Towns at all just because the main value for him is being different, right? Because he's a good player. Yeah. He's different, but he's not safe. He doesn't have a high floor. So for cash games, avoid him, right? There's better plays to go to. But yeah, I think this is a good core. This is, and I know I'm being a little bit repetitive, but I want to make sure people know what I'm saying is this thought process that I'm giving you is for GPP. So keep that in mind. Like this is going to be a high upside lineup, but it's probably, also going to have a low floor. So we did have news coming in real quick because the chat is telling us right now too. Durant is starting, but also Steve Nash said that he's going to get a minutes limit increase. So this is, I guess, because that news is out now, like an hour before these lineups lock. Does that mean maybe Kevin Durant's going to be a little too chalky of a play, or is it no matter what, he could break the slate, so get him in your lineup?
He's going to be chalky, right?
Yep.
And I think that's just going to have to be a pill you're going to have to swallow at 8,300. He's too good for that price. So let's put him in our lineup. He's too good. 8,300, Kevin Durant's got to be on your squad, especially if his minutes are going up. He's starting. There's no reason not to play him. So we're going to stick with Durant. And maybe with this news, I think what I want to do, and I know everyone's going to call me crazy here, but this is what we're going to do. We're adjusting on the fly. We're going to take Towns out. Taking him out. We're gonna keep this balance like we said, like we promised we would in the beginning, and that's gonna open up the salary rate to continue to do that balanced attack. So now we have we have back to that 6K per position. That's exactly what we want. And so now so let's look at the small forward position, right? Where do we want to attack here? There's not the lower you get, there's not too much I love. So we want to stick.
Like Poku, maybe the lowest you're willing to go here a little bit.
Lowest I'm willing to go. His pricing, I like him a little bit better on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. You want to stick him in, but for this lineup, I actually want to go up a little bit. I think we can go with, let's scroll up on the screen a little bit. I think we can go with someone either OG or Tate. I think one of those two guys in the 6K range will be a nice filler.
There we go. Jae'Sean Tate right here. And OG Anunoby, I'm going to put him in the lineup just because I love his name. But
let's do it. So now we have for the most part we got a big base, and we have a good 6,000 left. So if we're looking at the forward position, let's go down. Let's scroll down to a little bit down to the mid fives. All right. So now who do we want to fill this out with? I'm not going to play him, but just while he's on the screen, one guy I want to mention, I think Bobby Portis could be interesting tonight. Like we said, if you're saying Charlotte doesn't have many bigs, if he's been coming on recently, where he is hot and cold, but he's got a high ceiling. So especially in GPPs, he can be really interesting. Probably not going to be too highly owned. The guy I want to plug in here, I saw him on the screen before. Oh, Brissett. They don't have any bigs. If you noticed, I'm going to butcher his name. What is it? Bitazdi. They've been playing. He's out
better
too.
Than I can.
Yeah, he's out too. So they really don't have many size tonight. So it just feels like he's going to be locked in for some solid minutes. And without anyone else playing for them, I think that he can be a nice play. And then where do we want to round this out? Yeah, I think TJ McConnell.
Maybe spot with TJ Connell, Tate still in play here. As well, Bobby Portis. So from what this lineup construction is telling us that you're going to be able to get kind of guys that you really like on this slate in the mid K range. If you just don't try and chase after the 10K guys in this one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way I'm looking at tonight, and hopefully it doesn't bite me, is basically one of those 10K guys needs to get more than 60 points for us to get killed. So if they all stay in the 50s. I think we can build lineups with medium guys that will get us all over 40, which that balanced approach should be able to outkick any of those lineups that try to do stars and scrubs. And if you think about it, it's a crime that we're getting Kevin Durant for the price that we're getting him for. So that totally makes sense. And yet, as I'm looking at the chat, Jaylen Brown is a no-brainer. I mean, in cash, every single person is going to have him, so that doesn't really matter, right? That's just a wash. In tournaments, it's hard to get away. I would definitely try and get him in there everywhere you can, knowing that half the field's going to have him as well. So it's totally fine. Like, it's one of those things where when you're 50% ownership, to me it's a coin flip. If you want to play him, it makes sense. He should have a good game. If you want to fade him, then all of a sudden you're playing against half the field.
Giannis is dropping 80. What? Over under 80. Let's go 75. Over under 75.
I gotta say, I mean, he only does that, 25% of the games, 20%. So I don't know. It's not something he does regularly. I mean, he can do it, and he does do it often. Tonight's a night that it could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but for the purpose of roster construction tonight, I think I like the build approach better, more balanced than the look of trying to do the scrubs.
There you go. WinDailySports.com. Check out the Discord chat, and I think Ghost will be in there at some point. Who knows? We have a bunch of people in there, DFS gurus that'll be in there tinkering with your lineups, helping you out. So check it out, windailysports.com/chat. Also check out the Ghost Gems article and check out the PGA live stream tonight with my guy Joel right here joining me at Draftmaster Flex, and also Sinajad, the handsome, the great Sinajad at Sinajad, SIANEJAD on Twitter. That's at 8 o'clock. Tune in for that. WindailySports.com.